Thank you for joining me.
My pleasure, Helen. It's nice to be with you in your home. Is that an animal right there behind you that's
Yes,
white? Is it a
that
cat?
yes, that is Sophia.
Oh, she's beautiful. Hello, Sophia. Sophia.
Sophia.
Look at that. What a pretty girl. Oh, I love that.
Can you
Wish I
say
could.
hello to Vicki? Can you say hi? I think that's as good as it's going to get.
Beautiful. I can't have a cat because my grandson Joel's allergic. So
Oh,
one day though, when he goes to college.
oh, yeah.
Oh,
She's like, what's up?
beautiful.
Yeah, she left a thumbtack in my shoe one time. So yeah.
No, what had you done to her to make her do that?
I don't know. That's a good question. She likes to play. She likes to get up on my board and everything, and she'll knock the thumbtacks down if I have anything there.
Oh, so
So
she didn't mean to do it.
yeah, she was just hiding it,
I got you.
like
Because
she
cats,
hides everything under the fridge.
right? Because yeah, I've always heard that cats will wait and they'll pay you back. You don't know when it will come, but it will come.
Yes, usually in the form of a hairball somewhere.
How pretty.
But so tell me a little bit about yourself, about your background. You said when we were talking, you used to sell carpet with your
Yeah,
family.
yeah. My dad played football, professional football for the Steelers, and he worked for the FBI after that. And then he got shot at, and then he quit the FBI, and then he just became like a carpet salesman. He never could figure out what he really wanted to do, so he just started selling carpet when I was a little baby, and then and he sold carpet for other people till I was 19, and 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 then he opened his own store with my mom and I, and I thought we thought he would go out of business immediately, and it turned out to be like we opened it up in Oceanside, California, and it turned out to be like the perfect place to open a discount carpet store. And we sold seconds and irregulars, so every carpet had streaks and lines and flaws, holes, and it was a terrible, terrible place. It was filthy, and and I never wore shoes, and my parents fought all the time. And there was a liquor store next door, and my parents would like start drinking every afternoon, and then the big soft carpet rolls were so inviting they would just lay down and go to sleep. And then in the morning, and they never like locked the door. In the morning, when customers would come in, my parents would be asleep on the rolls. This is like often. And then they'd come in and they go, "Are you open?" And mom and dad would just get up and go, "Oh yeah, yeah. How can we help you?" Like nothing. And it was just they actually built a wall between their desks because they threw shit at each other all day long. One time, my dad got hit with a bunch of Cove-based samples, cut his eye. I had to take him to the hospital. Yeah. And then that night, he called his friend who's a contractor and built a brick wall between their desks to stop the objects. It was 20 years of insanity, but we were really successful. We made a bunch of money. And then, but I just always knew that, as fun as it was being selling carpet that's irregulars and working with my insane family and myself. I mean, and it was crazy. I just knew that no matter how much money I would make, taking it over, and it was kind of expected I would just take it over. And we had a couple of stores by then. But I said, no, I don't want to do it. I'd started stand up and I'm like, I just don't want to do this anymore. Let's sell the store. You retire with the money and I will just go off with nothing. And I jumped out into the world after doing stand up for 3 or 4 years. And Mitzi had taken me out of the comedy store, but I was over 42 years old by then. And I started when I was like 40-ish. So nobody in LA would take me on, but Mitzi loved me. And I didn't know it was a bad idea. And so I bought a trailer for my daughters and I to move into because my marriage was falling apart. And I'd been living in the garage anyway at our house. And so it was a nice garage, Helen. It was beautiful at drywall. But anyway, I bought a trailer for my daughters and I to move into, and just started just doing stand up, and we really struggled. And but my daughters went along with it. They were really great about it, and And then I won Funniest Mom in America. After a few years, we got like 50,000 from that. And then I started getting work doing more like fundraisers, and that paid a little more, but it was still, a rough way to raise a couple of kids in terms of money, but we were really happy. And, my daughters tell me now that they're really glad that we lived the life that we had. And, and because I was so unsuccessful, they both got through college without any money. They got all these low, free government money. So, but they're happy. And I'm just so grateful that I got to do it and have had so much fun, doing it and I did it for like 20 years before AGT came. And then when that happened, just like everything just, changed, because millions of people see you, and it doesn't matter if the industry that said I was too fat and too old and all that, it's like a way of bypassing them. So, it's just been that dream that I had, that I get to keep doing stand-up. I didn't know how that would happen. I just hoped it would, but then that AGT thing just really was a miracle for me. So I'm just so grateful for that, and surprised, but super grateful.
Was it because I'm surprised? I guess a lot of people would probably be surprised. Too fat and too old. I mean, that sounds odd. I would think that in comedy, especially, they wouldn't be going by looks so much.
It has changed a lot. I was doing a joke about it for a while, like, 20 years ago. I mean, like, Margaret Cho had a horrible time when they put her on TV and they said, your face is too big, and so, 20 years ago, it really, really was rigid. It was super rigid. I mean, it's still a boys' club in LA, 100%, but it's I'm going to say not 100%, 90%. Women are getting in a better shake in terms of who's controlling things and things, I think. And also body sizes are changing. I was doing this thing for a while where before, if you went on an audition for a fat actress, there would just be like, it would just look like there would be 20 women. And now, if you're looking for a fat actress, there's probably 100. And you see just a lot of like people like, Melissa McCarthy, and, just a lot of big women got in and were unashamedly showing their bodies, and there's so many now, but that was back, honestly, up until maybe 10 years ago, that just wasn't the case. And agents would say it right to your face. They would tell me right to my face. I mean, even like Bud, who owned the Improv, this guy told him, after I'd first started, I was working for a club he was running in a casino, Pachanga, and the manager called Bud and goes, man, Vicki Barbolak is so funny, you got to see her. And he said, show me your picture. And then this guy Leonard, who was the manager, showed him my picture, and Bud just went, oh, forget it. And that was Bud Friedman. And Mitzi was like the one person who was always like, she didn't care what people looked like. She cared how funny they were. Anyway, it just never really bothered me. I didn't really care. I just assumed that's how it was. And it is much better now. There's a whole bunch of different, I watch TV now and I'm like, they're looking for people that look like everybody. And it's beautiful. Yeah. It's still great to be gorgeous and beautiful. And also young women comics today. There's so many beautiful ones. Before, like Phyllis Diller was really pretty, so she had to ugly herself up. So now it's a way better time for everybody. And except it's a really rough time for a lot of people. So but in terms of there's progress being made, yeah. But back then it was just flat out to your face. No. You're crazy. This is not. So I just struggle now to just kind of keep going, oh, well, sometimes people go, oh, well, you can't do this because you're this. And I'll go, okay, you're probably right. And then I have to think about it before I go, well, let me try anyway.
So do you see things then improving and getting better in the industry?
I do. Yeah, absolutely. For sure. And and I think that sometimes also, you don't want to use what has been in the past as an excuse to stop you from doing things in any case. But I was like the kind of person who, you've told me no, and like 1 or 2 agents would tell me no, then I would just think, well, no agents want me. And I wouldn't knock on like 50 doors. I would only knock on 2 or 3. And then I'm like, oh, they're right. No, I'm not wanted in that town. And so now, you know, it's taken me a long time to get around that. And I still sort of struggle with it, which I think is normal for all artists in a way, but it's just a lot easier for me to ask people to look at me now than it was, you know. And I think for all women and women of different sizes and color, it's definitely better. You know, I definitely think it is.
So what made you want to go into comedy? I mean, especially so late in life.
Well, it was kind of bizarre. I was in the bathroom one day and I was, there's a trash can in my bathroom and I saw a sign that said comedy classes. And I pulled it out of my trash can, literally. And it said, Mitzi, Sandy Shore, Polly Shore's sister, teaches comedy at the Comedy Store La Jolla. And I thought, wow, that'd be fun, because I was always, the one thing I could always do is make people laugh. And I was a fat kid and I always used humor to deflect all the other bullying. And just like in the years of selling carpet, if I didn't sell on carpet, I didn't care. But if they didn't laugh at my joke, I would be up all night. Oh, I thought that was so funny. So I was always like using, and humor got me anything I ever had. So it's always important to me. I come from a family of Midwestern humor. My uncles are hilarious. So I just thought, well, stand-up comedy. And I'd like literally only been to one stand-up show in my life. I listened to a lot of comedy records, but I didn't know really anything about it. So I went and I took this class and I brought 3 big books with me. 3 giant books, like, so that people would think I was smart in the class. Yeah, I know, that's pathetic, right? But that's really who I was there. And it was like probably 24 years ago now. And I went into that class and I met these 3 fellas that are, they're still, oh, one of them, 2 of them have passed, there's 4, and 2 of them have passed away, sadly, tragically. But there was 4 guys there and then a few other people. But these 4 guys and I, we just eventually became very close friends. And Sandy, Polly's sister, was Mitzi's daughter. I didn't even know who Mitzi Shore was or anything about the Comedy Store at that time. But Sandy was cool. She had just been abducted by aliens for quite a long time and had just written the dictionary of the alien language. So she was like the perfect person for me. But and you know, so going to that class, we had to prepare 5 minutes every day and every week, and it was really fun. And then after that, I just started going to open mics and I just started becoming just like, I loved it so much. I loved what it felt like to make people laugh, and it was like, that was a challenge. That was like the challenge I wanted. I didn't want that. I didn't want to own a carpet business. I had no interest, and I did not think I could survive it. I really thought I just couldn't do it. So I just said, I'm going to full blow, so just go into this. And I had no idea really what a bad idea that was at the time. And I'm glad I didn't, because I probably might not have, because like everyone told me, even my family, my priest goes, oh, you can't, you shouldn't do this. And but he also told me not to marry my first husband. I should have listened to this guy several times, but this time he was wrong. I should have gone into comedy. And but anyway, that's kind of how it happened. And then I just said, like, after maybe 6 years, I said, sell the store. I don't want it, take it. And I'm just gonna jump off. And then we bought this trailer for $11,000, and my daughters and I moved into it. And that's how it's been. And it's just been so much fun.
Real quick, and I don't say this to be rude or anything, but about the alien thing, do aliens like comedy?
You know, she didn't ever say, you know, but she wasn't a comic herself, which surprised me. But she did say that she was glad that they took her because she was chosen among many. So, yeah. and I never got into specifics about probing and stuff like that, and unfortunately she passed away a couple of years ago, and we had a kind of a rift. She, at her graduation classes, I used to come do her, host them, to thank her for all she had done for me. And one day I was going to go host and her graduation class, and my daughter went into labor in 29 Palms at a Marine Corps base because she was married and to a Marine out there. And so it's a 4-hour drive. And she had another child, Timmy, and I had to go watch Joel while she went into the hospital. And so I called her up. I go, Sandy, I'm sorry. Emily's having the baby today. I gotta run up to the desert. And she goes, well, if you do that, I'll never speak to you again. And I said, well, Sandy, you know how you of all people should know what it's like to have a mom not there for you, because her mom loved her, but Mitzi became very busy. Anyway, and I think Mitzi was a great mom, but anyway, Sandy never spoke to me again. And I always thought, oh, I'd go up and see her and I'd make that right. And then I didn't. And then suddenly she died. So I was really sad about that. But because she was really, she was one of those people in my life, because she said I was special and I had a special gift. And nobody ever told me that. And I'll always be glad for her, And she was a really hilariously fun person too. I mean, she was out there like in her own universe, but who knows? Maybe she was abducted. Who knows? I don't know. She had 2 dogs, and I always go, well, who would have fed the dogs? Well, she was abducted, because they were her life. But then I think, well, in the time-space continuum, I mean, she could have been up there for an hour, our time in a couple of years. Who knows?
Exactly. It's very complicated.
But no.
Who was she one of the people that kind of inspired you?
She didn't inspire me because she just enabled me to have a place where I could go every week, and you had to show up with material. And it was sort of, I got to know that San Diego comic group by taking that class, because I wouldn't have known what an open mic was. I didn't know where the bars were that put on open mics. I didn't know anybody in the area that did stand-up. So for me, it was perfect. And this wonderful guy, one of my huge inspirations when I started was a guy named Fred Burns. And he was the manager of the Comedy Store in La Jolla for years. And he thought anyone that took Sandy's classes was an idiot. So I had a huge strike against me for taking that class. But he was like seriously one of the funniest people I ever met. He had spinal bifida. And the Coen brothers thought he was so funny. They put him in one of their movies, just walking by telling jokes. He was just a genius comic. And for years, he never thought I was any good. And I wasn't any good for years. I was terrible when I started. But he didn't know that I'd been going to bars and working really hard until one night when Mitzi walked in the club, and it was a Sunday. And I came every Sunday with baked goods, and I never got on that night, but I just went and did some bars on Sunday and would stop at the Comedy Store to see all the open micers and bring baked goods, because I baked for the kids on Sunday. And one day Mitzi was there on a Sunday to watch the open mic to showcase, and I didn't know what a showcase was. And I saw her walk in with this guy, and I'm like, oh, there's this hush in the room, and everybody goes, Mitzi's here. And I'm like, literally still really don't know who Mitzi is. And then the bartender goes, Mitzi wants you to go on stage. And I went on stage, and I showcased it, and she made me a regular that night. And after that, Fred had to give me spots, but eventually Fred really liked my comedy. And I think him liking my comedy meant more to me than anyone liking my comedy. It meant so much to me because he was so funny, but he really inspired me. And then, just in my life, like Richard Pryor inspired me, and Toady Fields inspired me, but I didn't know it. Phyllis Diller, Roseanne, and I love comedy, but I didn't know anything about the business, and I'm still really clueless on so much.
So, did you get to meet any of the comics who you kind of looked up to?
Yeah, I've gotten to meet a lot of them. I got to work for Roseanne and write for her, and that was really great. And I got I got to meet, it's pretty, I met, pretty much, being around the store, a lot of comics that I always wanted to meet. And Wanda Sykes, I mean, just people that I'm like, wow. And then I get to see them work, and, kind of went more than I ever dreamed of it. And yeah, I mean, it's pretty cool. Yeah, it's pretty. I never met Rodney Dangerfield though, and that was like a big bummer. I always thought, oh, I'll get to meet him. I'll get into his club. I'll see. He'll like me. It'll be great. But I never got that opportunity. But that was a disappointment. But whatever.
Rodney Dangerfield was awesome. I mean, there
So
was
great.
something about his comedy. He was
Yeah,
hilarious.
so real. And and he had a similar story in the sense that he started late in life, and then he quit for a while and went back to selling siding and came back to it. So he's kind of like, for me, that he was like somebody I always looked up to as, oh, this can happen.
So you're kind of touring right now, then?
Yeah, yep. I'm out. There was, everything shut down, and then I still went a few places during COVID. The places like the states where there was no COVID, like Texas, Oklahoma, Florida, and I worked kind of through COVID, even though whatever. But a lot of my friends were like, "You shouldn't do it. You're like a spreader," and I'm like, I get that, but like. I have this friend in Las Vegas. He's super gay, and when you go to his house, I mean, there's all these dead animals everywhere. Like there's lion heads on every wall. One day I was like literally standing on a polar bear rug, looking a lion straight in the face. And I said, David, did you shoot these? And he goes, oh, no, no, I could never kill anything. But since they're already dead, aren't they beautiful? And I got to reason my COVID shows like that. I'm like, well, if I don't do them, somebody else is going to do them. And I got to get out there. So I did like do, maybe 10 travel trips during that time of the shutdown. But, and now things are like picking up, and I'm so excited that every time a show doesn't get canceled, so it's really fun to be back out there. I'm in Springfield, Massachusetts right now, and I love the people here and the Italian food. And then I'm going to Montana, to 3 different cities near Glacier National Park. And I'm really excited about that in February, Valentine's, like the weekend before Valentine's, and then Valentine's weekend. No, that's the weekend of Valentine's in Montana. And then the weekend after that, I'm doing the gay rodeo in Phoenix. And I'm super excited about that.
Oh, awesome. Sophia has decided she wants to walk around on the desk.
Yay, Sophia. She can do whatever she wants, or she can put another thumbtack in your shoe.
I know. Plus, she loves the computer. I don't know why. She likes to sit on it.
Maybe it's warm.
Yeah, I think that's probably why.
And you need it. And you're not
getting
her attention. Cats are brilliant.
They say, and I read an article, that cats, if they were human, would be psychopaths.
A lot of people say that, but that's funny. I wonder if like the majority, like, in humans, like the majority of people aren't psychopaths, but there's a bunch of psychopaths. I wonder if in cat populations, the majority are psychopaths, but there's a bunch that are not psychopaths. A smaller amount.
Yeah. And they feel probably kind of discriminated against. They're like, I'm not this way.
Well, they have to be like really smart because they're small cats without great ability to protect themselves against most other predators. I mean, besides rodents, they're like pretty much prey for everybody.
Yeah.
They have to be a little crazy.
Yeah. I would think. So real quick, have you had a lot of cancellations?
Oh yeah. A lot. Oh yeah. Yep. It's how it is, and everybody has, so it's just whatever. But who knows? It's like hard to speculate, but hopefully, that guy that heads Pfizer the other day said because of all the new treatments that are coming out for it once you get it, that they think maybe that's going to, you know, his thinking is, and his people, that maybe this really will, you know, kind of be the end to all of the whole, you know, the horrific, you know, problem of it, you know, become just a small issue, not a big deal.
Boy, I hope so.
Yeah, there's so many good things I've liked about COVID, though. So many great things that have come from it. You know, like my like drive-by birthday parties. You know, I hope my daughter never watches this, especially for like my grandson. It's so great. You just drive by, you throw the gift out here, Timmy, you know, and then Grandpa and I go to the casino, and I don't have to talk to her vegan friends about shit I don't care about. I mean, that kind of thing. I hope that never leaves.
Oh, awesome. Awesome. Um, so how much more touring do you have to do? Are you going to be on the road for a while?
Well, well, we kind of book every year, whatever we can get. So this year is, you know, um, we're, you know, like just now I booked a job in June. So, you know, it's kind of just kind of steadily going. I'm going to be in Atlanta finally, which I've been dying to get to Atlanta. So all is well, you know?
Um, so if I'm allowed to mention this, you've got possibly an upcoming movie you're going to be in?
Oh, I, who knows? I've been getting more auditions lately, and that's another thing. I'm really grateful for that because I finally am starting, and I've been actually taking some classes and working on making you know, making myself a better actor. And so I'm really excited about that. I love it. I didn't know if I would love it, but I love it. So that's exciting. And there's like a lot of opportunities have been coming up. Most of them have slipped through my fingers, but you know, I used to think, oh, well, if this didn't work and that didn't work, then you should stop trying, literally. And that's so stupid. I mean, if one thing doesn't work, just keep going. You don't know it, something will work. So now you know, I just keep pitching away. I mean, if this idea doesn't work, if this one doesn't work, then just come, there's plenty more.
So would you like to go into acting, comedy acting?
Yeah, yeah, for sure. That's what I really would love to do now. Mhm.
Okay.
And I like hosting too. I didn't know I'd like hosting, but I've been like I'm the backup host for the AGT shows in Las Vegas now. And I didn't know I'd like that. And I really like that. Hosting is fun. I never thought I'd be a good host, but I like it.
So
So
what did you think being on America's Got Talent?
it was so much fun. The whole experience it was challenging because, you know, getting your point across in 2-minute sets was really hard for me. But I actually, in the beginning, I'm like, this isn't comedy, this is bullshit. And then the more I worked on it, the more zen like it got. It got like building a tiny little a bonsai of comedy. And I started loving the challenge of that tiny little set. And being specific and not being, because like when you do a stand up for a long time, you hope to get to the point where you're not like most people. Some people don't. They want to stay on script the whole time. But most comics want to get to a point where you just stand up and you go. Like Bill Hicks said, material is what you fall back on when you have nothing else to say. And you hope to get to that point in your career. And I think after 20 years, I kind of was getting to that point where I could just get on stage and go, blah, and you would have magical nights. They weren't always magical, and they are not now. But in general, you could be more free, and the challenge was better, and it was more exciting. So then to go back to this point where that's all done. Everything is exactly tight and scripted. And I was in that for like a year, and I hardly could go do any regular shows because it was always getting ready for the next 2 minutes. And I worked so hard on it. So it was a great experience as a comic, and then as a human being, like just the way they treat you. The people were so wonderful. The staff, the crew, such nice people. They're together because they want to be, and they've been together for, at that point it was 13 years. So, and my producer was an angel. Everybody was wonderful. So it really was fun.
Oh, that's good. Um, so do you basically, real quick, get your material from just everywhere you can find it, just life experience?
Yeah, yeah, pretty much. Yep. Yeah. You go through periods where you're just thinking about one thing and you go, "Oh," and then you like then you got to move on a little bit. But it's yeah, everything that happens, you can make it's there for the taking, and that's how I think most of us all write, just from things that are around us.
Yeah, it seems like there's so much going on, and I mean, whether it's politics, regular life, and things, there's so much that you can kind of pick up on.
Yeah, the only thing I don't go into much is politics. I mean, I have a way of talking about how I'm feeling, but it's very, very open-ended because it's never been what I've done, especially with AGT that is 100% blue and red. My audience is 100% blue and red, 50-50. And I don't want to offend anyone who voted for me or care either on either side. So I like kind of say, but I always wasn't political because it was not. I think my political statement is, it doesn't matter who you are, you have a right to the same air as everybody else. That's kind of my main, my bottom line's in underneath message. And there's a lot of things that I say that have a political message, but it's very quietly given. And it's given, if you're hearing it, you're hearing it, but if you're not, you're not. And it's but that's the only thing I kind of avoid. Pretty much everything else. And it's really hard now because we're so limited by what we can say and without worrying about offending people. And it's really annoying and aggravating. And I'm trying to push it to the edge as far as I can all the time. But man, it's really crappy. Like George Carlin would die if he was alive. He would freak out. I mean, there was 10 words you couldn't say. Now there's 10 thoughts you can't have. It's just so annoying. But yet I can't not push as far as I can push. I can't not. And sometimes I'm going to get in trouble, but I don't care.
Yeah, I know. I went back and watched some of the old comedy shows, George Carlin, some of the roasts that they used to have with Dean Martin, things like
Yeah.
that. And let me tell you, I mean, some of those censors would have a heart attack today.
Oh,
If
no. They'd all be blown. I mean, they'd all be canceled tomorrow. Everyone would be canceled. Ugh. There's certain people right now out there like Jimmy Schubert and Bill Burr, and they're just going out there and they're just saying everything they always said. And people love it. They're eating it up. So it's not to say that, it's just different. You just have to decide for yourself what works and doesn't. But, it's kind of like that idea for me is like, okay, I need to try. I need to try to bring things to as true a place as I can for where I want to be. And I don't want to hurt anybody's feelings. I think that if you have a great deal of love behind what you're saying, that everything is grounded in love, then you're pretty safe. But still, it's a weird time.
yeah, yeah, it does seem to be amazing because when I kind of think of comedy and things like that, you kind of think of people kind of pushing the envelope a
Yeah,
little bit.
right. Ugh.
But last question. Do you have any advice for anybody who would want to go into comedy or pursue kind of the road you're on?
Well, what I've learned is if you want to really do something and you really, really want to do it, no matter how many people tell you it's a bad idea, if you're willing to risk everything and become possibly very poor and hardly have any money and have people deliver groceries to you when they somehow know you need it, I mean, if you're willing to go all that way down that road because you love something, I think you should do anything that you want to do, because in the end, what, you know, what's more important than doing your dream, living your full life? I don't know how many lives we have, but I know we have this one. And I'm just so grateful that I got to, even though it's been a painful journey at times, overall, the fulfillment I've gotten from it and the people that I met, the experience I've had, I never thought I'd have this life. So I'm really grateful. So I say that to everyone, whatever it is, if it's comedy or opening up a bakery or whatever, it doesn't matter how old you are or what you think you have to offer. If you want to do something, you can pull whatever you need out of yourself. Okay.
That is great advice. Thank you so much for being with me.
Thank you, Helen. It was nice meeting you and Sophia.
Oh, thank you. It was nice meeting you too.
I hope I get to see you. I hope I get back to Cleveland soon. You're in Cleveland, right?
Yes.
Okay. I love Cleveland. So I hope I get back.
Yes, that'd be wonderful.
If you come to San Diego, let me know.
Absolutely. Yeah. If you're ever in the town, let us know.
I will, girl. See you later. Bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.